Chicago's mayor says it was a mistake that a staffer sent an email soliciting Chicago students for their help with the mayor's re-election campaign in exchange for credit hours. It is a story that made headlines and caught the attention of parental rights group Parents Defending Education and Director of Outreach, Erika Sanzi, joining us this morning with more on this. Good morning to you, Erika.
Good morning, Jan. Thanks for having me.
Of course. First, I want to give a little bit of a timeline to this because Lightfoot confirmed a campaign staffer sent those emails to Chicago public school teachers stating that students would receive credit in exchange for working on her campaign. And then this was revised to state it would give students a chance to learn about civic engagement and the campaign. And then finally, this statement was issued that stated in part, all Lightfoot for Chicago campaign staff have been reminded about the solid wall that must exist between campaign and official activities, and that contacts with any city of Chicago or other sister agency employees, including CPS employees, even though publicly available sources, is off limits, period. So Parents Defending Education filed an ethics complaint the day after this broke. Erika, tell us about that complaint, and let's talk about the importance of doing this right away, because I've heard some Chicago parents and teachers comment that the mayor actually thought she was going to get away with this.
Yeah, so we immediately, when we saw what the mayor's campaign had done, we knew that this was obviously an ethical violation and likely unlawful. So we immediately filed a complaint, an ethics complaint, asking the City of Chicago's Board of Ethics to open an investigation. And really, there were two sort of issues that really stuck out to us. One is that you cannot use city property for political activity, which means that the campaign shouldn't have even had a list of all of the email addresses of all the teachers in the district. So the question becomes, how did they get that? And then even if they have it, which they shouldn't have it, they definitely can't be using it for political activity. The other issue is around gifts and favors. You cannot offer class credit to students for working on your campaign. So again, and my suspicion is that the reason that third statement was so different than the first two is probably a lawyer or somebody had gotten involved and let them know that they couldn't do what they had done, and that's why you see such a stronger statement the third time around. And
another story that your organization is watching out of Alabama is Baldwin County Public Schools and their mandate that school counselors have to affirm students' preferred gender identity, according to a document made public by your organization, by Parents Defending Education. Tell us more about what's in this document.
Well, this is like a 53-page comprehensive counseling and guidance plan that they put out. It looks like they put it out each year. And but what's new about this is that now it's including, in addition to making sure that you honor, respect, and affirm people's race, special education status, whether or not they're in foster care, that kind of thing. It includes now gender identity and gender expression, and it uses the words honor, respect, and affirm, which again, those are sort of vague terms, but when we talk about gender affirming, that essentially means that you go along with whatever the child says. And it's unclear to us what that means in terms of parents being informed,
right,
and parental rights.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. What about the parental involvement? Were parents made aware of this matter?
I mean, I suspect not. I mean, what parent goes and reads the 53-page documents that are on these that live on school websites? But what's interesting is that a lot of other districts around the country have been really explicit about how they were going to withhold information from parents, that parents would have no right to know or see anything if that was what the child requested. In this case, in Baldwin County, it's not quite so explicit, but clearly there's a tension because in the document, while it talks about the need to affirm their gender identity and gender expression, it also talks in the document about the importance of respecting and honoring parental rights. So there's just a natural tension there, and it's unclear to me how they plan on balancing
and
that.
Just hearing you say that, I was going to ask, how can they balance this mandate and also give their commitment to parental rights if parents are not part of that process?
Yeah, well, that's the million-dollar question because, every district is dealing with that because it seems that, activists got their hands on a lot of these policies and on a lot of these documents. And now when you read them more closely, you realize, wait a second, the only reason you have authority over my child is because I, the parent, delegated it to you. And so legally, how can you withhold information from me about my child? So yeah, this is on a crash course for sure. We're seeing it bubble up in districts all over the country. Like I always say, red and blue states, red and blue cities. And, there are quite a few cases moving their way through the courts already. And I suspect we're going to see more of those.
Parents Defending Education, Director of Outreach, Erika Sanzi. Always great talking to you. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thanks, Jen.